and will miss Ghana's upcoming matches against Brighton and West Brom. Those were the headlines. You're listening to 99.3 Nigeria Info, and it's back to Hard Facts with Sandra.
Yes, Yvonne, thank you so much for taking us around the world in 2 minutes and bringing things back here. I am Sandra Ezekwesili. Lagos, what was the biggest story of September 2020? What do you think was the biggest story of September 2020? We are 9 episodes into our look back on the year, and the ninth month offered us a lot of stories, starting with an announcement from NERC. NERC announced an increase in your electricity bill. Well, for some of you anyway. They said that the new tariffs were for areas that get more than 12 hours of light a day on average. Incidentally, you just talked about light with Chukwudi Ezugu on Community Report. It was supposed to start earlier in the year, but the House of Reps convinced NERC to delay it because of COVID. It finally happened in September, and we've had quite a few conversations about it here on Hard Facts. We had representatives from a co-distribution company, for instance, and they explained to us their criteria for choosing where to raise tariffs. We told you about NERC's reasons for agreeing to the tariff increases. Basically, what consumers are paying for power is less than what the discos are paying the gencos, who also have to pay the gas providers in many cases. So essentially, the power industry is running at a loss. But the big question is, are the areas with the higher tariff actually the areas with 12 hours or more per day? Now, it's been 3 months since that project kicked off, so you have enough time to weigh, you have enough time to measure, and you can now let me know, are you paying higher tariffs in your area? How much power do you get per day on average? So I'm paying the higher tariff right now, and on average I get 12 hours of light per day. Like, the light in my area, very, very good. Is that the same for you? And then again, I also have a prepaid meter, so it makes my situation manageable, in the sense that I'm paying for what I'm using. Do you understand? So in a month, I spend 20,000 naira on recharge for my prepaid meter, and that 20,000 naira lasts me a month, depending on how I use it, right? If I pay 10,000 naira, I know that 10,000 naira will last me 2 weeks. If I pay 5,000 naira, I know that 5,000 naira will last me between 5 and 7 days, depending on how I use it, depending on how much light there is. So at least I'm seeing how the money is going. I'm seeing how the money is being spent. But for people who do not have prepaid meters, I imagine it would be a nightmare. Is that your story? Have you had that story? Or are you like me, who is paying as you go with a prepaid meter? Are you in one of the areas where you have to pay a higher tariff now? Are you seeing more power per day on average? The amount of power you have, does it tally with the amount of money that you're spending on power now? 070 993 0700 993 993 993 0700 993 You can also share your thoughts with me via WhatsApp. WhatsApp is 080 959 75805. My first caller this evening is Sylvester in Ayobo. Hello, Sylvester. Thanks for calling.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Sylvester.
Sylvester calling from Ishefo in Ayobo.
Yes, welcome. How's your area as far as power is concerned?
Well, for the past 3 years that I've been living here now, the power has been 1 day on, 1 day off. Okay, until just last month, I think, first of last month. So they increased it to every day. But then, immediately, just say, let's say maybe after 1 week that started giving us everyday light. Of course, not up to 12 hours on the average. So they brought outrageous bill. Every house in this area, they gave each house 19,500 naira. Every house, 19,500 naira bill. And in my house now, we have 2 bills, so they gave us almost 40,000 naira for less than 1 week.
Wow.
For less than 1 week, I started giving us everyday light. The light that is not even up to 12 hours. Yeah. That is the situation. Of course, nobody has agreed to pay the money. So I don't think there's any house that has agreed to pay the money. That is the situation right now in this area.
Who's your distributor? Who's your distribution company?
I think it's Ikeja Electricity.
Have you guys filed a report? Have you made a formal report?
Well, my landlord said they have a platform. I think they said they are working on it. Well, I'm not sure, but though I've made him understand I'm not going to pay that money anyway. So until they do something about it. But I just think it's appalling because I don't know the criteria they use to give every house random figure. I mean, 90,005 per house. Even a house that is just a shop, in this area it's just like a local community. Even there are some people that just living in just one room. They just maybe because of landlord problem they just built one room and packed in. So they are also giving 19,005. So and it's a random figure everywhere. And not only in this community, it's extended to in this area we have about 4 other communities that are connected to this area. That is replicated to all the areas. So I don't really understand. So I don't understand.
Well, thank you for bringing it to my attention, Sylvester. It's an important conversation to have. Something that happened in September. 3 months later, where are we at? Timileyin is in Festac. Hello, Timileyin.
Hello, Sandra.
Good to have you on the show. Good afternoon. Are you paying a higher tariff in your area?
Well, I don't know how to say it yet. Festac Town, I live in Festac Town.
Okay.
We hardly ever have power.
Okay.
I know that we have been off power for over 2 weeks. They just restored it after plenty of things, but we still don't have a prepaid meter.
Okay.
And I've made efforts to get it, and nothing seems to be happening. So for me, I think they have not started the game. They are still just playing us because they are still in full control. That's what they just got the full control of the whole thing, and they're still running it like it's still owned by government.
I see.
These things are owned by private individuals now, and I believe that if there's a punity measure that if there's no power for a period of time, you don't expect me to pay. You are not giving me prepaid, and you just give me bills, and you expect me to pay. I've not applied for over 2 weeks. They just brought it, and trust me now, Sandra, the bill is coming. And nobody will see. So, in fact, it's a sorry situation in this country. I think something has to be done about it.
I agree with you.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you, Timileyin, for calling. We'll take a final call from Austin, and then we'll move on to another big story from September 2020. Austin and Apapa, how are you?
I'm fine.
Welcome. Go ahead.
This NEPA matter they talk. This is NEPA. The prepaid, they're not going to give us.
But they get more light for your side now.
Well, they get some time, but the bill they are giving us is too much.
How many hours of light do they get on average? How many hours do they get?
They get hours. They only say night they bring. This afternoon there's light now. Okay. It's for night itself now. Maybe like 3-4 days ago we not get the child.
And when they bring bill, how much bill do they give you?
Like since this bill increase now, they bring the other bill. They bring 50 something. The second one they bring 30 something.
50 something. How many rooms you get?
Well, it's not a room. It's just a public yard like that.
Oh, public yard. Okay, so everybody go share and pay, Abi.
Everybody go share pay.
Wow.
But I don't know. But I don't know why everything in this country work in a criminal way. Just criminal way. They are, every public office, they are not doing things the way. Just like everybody.
Anyhow, don't try to collect prepaid meter. When I don't try to get them.
They don't go. They don't agree. No, we don't even pay. They need to bring them now.
Problem. My brother Pele, thank you for calling me, Austin. Let me tell you that electricity, you cannot talk about that. You cannot talk about electricity bills without talking about money, right? Which means that we're also talking about work. We're also talking about business. And like I said, the reason that NERC delayed this new tariff that everyone's complaining about was because COVID was hitting everybody's pocket. In September, we talked a lot about how COVID and the lockdown were affecting people in the informal sector. It was a lot. It was quite a bit, and you had a lot to say about it. And we're going to go back to that conversation that we had back in September.
Which types of businesses
did COVID-19 and the lockdown hit the hardest? Which ones are yet to recover? Which types of businesses did COVID-19 and the lockdown hit the hardest? Which ones are yet to recover? Yeah, we all know COVID-19 and the lockdown did a serious number to the economy. That's not a new revelation. We've talked about it week after week here on Hard Facts. You've complained about it when you call us. We've also gotten official data from the government about it. And that's our big hard fact, by the way. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria's economy shrank by over 6% in the second quarter of 2020, in the middle of the lockdown. So finally, we have hard data to confirm what Nigerians have known for months, that economic activity dropped, that it became harder to make money, that life got tougher. But for whom did it get toughest for the most? That's the big question. All the economists have said, it's the informal sector that they would get hit the hardest. So let's say that you have a small business that couldn't operate during the lockdown, like a petty trader, for example, right? When you sell your goods, you use most of the money as capital to restock. You take just a tiny profit, and that's what you use to feed yourself and your family. Now the lockdown hits. The capital is in your hand, but the capital in your hand is useless because even if you restock your goods, you cannot sell them. So no stock. No stock, no sales, no revenue coming in, no new profit. But you still have to feed yourself and your family. So what do? You start to spend your capital on food, on fuel, on NEPA, on the other necessities of life. 1 week passes, 2 weeks pass, then 1 month, then 6 weeks, 2 months. You're still eating your capital. 3 months, 14 weeks. Capital no go finish, it go finish. And now the lockdown is lifted. Government says you can go back to trading. Time to restock. But where's the capital? You used it to keep your children alive. Now, let's say that you are not a petty trader and you're listening to me. Perhaps you're a banker, or you're a driver, or you're a keke napep driver, or you are a doctor. I want you to think about all those traders who couldn't make any money during the lockdown and ended up having to burn their capital to feed their families. I want you to think about what they are going through right now. Yes, business is back. Business is back. They have to find some way to survive. But they are not back. There were no loans for most of them during the lockdowns. So for a lot of them, the damage has been done. There's no bouncing back for them unless they get a new injection of capital. But from where?
Sandra, good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, so sincerely, Sandra, this COVID-19 has affected me very, very much. I'm telling you, so much. I can't even explain it. I'm telling you, as I'm talking to you. You know, I work as a Uber driver.
Okay.
So our agreement was me to be paid 40,000 or 35,000 a week.
Okay.
So they said that the thing has not come to me and my driver partner to beg to be paying 25. And that even 25,000 naira couldn't meet up. Because during this pandemic, Uber reduced all the prices down.
Yeah.
And now that they just release the economy, people to be working small now.
Mm-hmm.
See, they didn't lift the tariff plan up. You know, then secondly, fuel now has gone up.
Yeah.
You know, so seriously, the thing has been affected me so much because if you buy fuel of 3,000 naira, you can't work on 5,000. You know?
Yeah.
Now, to my surprise, last week, I just came home. I saw my landlord give me quit notice for 3 months to left his house. You know? So seriously, the thing is really, really painful.
Did he give you an explanation for the quit notice?
Yeah, he said he wanted to renovate his house, so I got to get out and leave his house for him. So for 3 months later, so about seriously.
But that's actually wrong. He's supposed to give you 6 months notice, not 3.
Well, that's what I saw. So, to be sincerely, this thing has affected me, and I don't have any choice than to be managing with Uber. So my plan now, I'm even thinking that if things does not go well before that 3 months, I have to send my family back home because I can't cope with it. Even to manage, I should be managing inside the car for me to balance the remaining car. I'm ready to do it, but seriously, this COVID-19 has affected us.
Hello, Yatu. Thanks for calling.
Sister Sandra,
Yes. Hello.
we are dying. I'm a Marwa operator. We are
Marwa.
dying here. Marwa, exactly. It's part of the business,
Okay.
isn't it?
It is, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, then is there any social distancing in Okada rider when they carry 2 passengers?
No.
Okay. In our own locality here, Okada is carrying 2. At times they even carry 3. Last man has seen them, police has seen them, the neighborhood, no complaint. But by carrying these 2 with this current increase in the fuel
Price, yes.
we are dying. So nobody to fight for us. At least they should make us to take 2 for back, 1 for front. At least we are dying, my sister. We can't make anything when it closes around the 10 or 9 something. Please, it's a cry. Help us.
James is in Ajao Estate. Hello, James.
Yeah, Sandra, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, this is James Emmanuel.
Yes, go ahead.
So I was doing a business, a laundry business. That was last year I started. Hoping that is going to fetch me good money because I've been doing it for about 10 years and I'm expert of it very well. So I've been having little customers knowing that this COVID-19 will come and be a stumbling block for me. I don't know. So this year, it was an help to me because calling all my customers, there's like, you see what thing happen now. So I'm not going to do it again. It was very, very difficult for me and my family. It was very, very difficult. Trying every means to have money. Couldn't go out. In fact, I was something else.
So,
Started looking for jobs. So by now, I just have a little work I'm doing now, trying to recover back everything I've lost. And some of my customers now started calling me back that, come and do this, but you will not charge me the way you were charging me before. I start starting all over again. But it has really affected me. In fact, the place I'm living, I'm not staying there again. That has really affected me so much.
Hello, Sandra. Good evening.
Thanks for calling. Good evening.
Well done.
Thank you.
As Sandy said, so it is. It dealt a very terrible blow to fashion designers.
Okay.
Fashion designers, because of lack of activities, there is no social gatherings. There is no people that do small businesses. Because of low income, small income that they have, everything swallowed up. And you see the people that are in informal sector say, what can we say of the teachers that are working in private schools? But some of the proprietor and proprietresses, they are just like entrepreneur, and the thing swallowed up. So the teachers are left on their own, and people are groaning in pains right now. Life is very, very tough right now for people.
September 2020, that's when that conversation happened on Hard Facts. Yes, Hard Facts has been good for a long time. If you just joined us, if this is your first time listening, welcome. You're in for amazing conversations on air. We are 99.3 Nigeria Info. I am Sandra Ezekwesili, your host, and we're looking back at the year 2020, 1 month at a time. And today is the turn of September. I'm not looking forward to October because October was a sad month. And it didn't start off sad, but by the time we got to the 20th of October, it just... So I'm actually dreading October, but October is tomorrow between 5 and 6. So let's have that conversation. But today, let's stay on September. Let's continue the conversation you just heard between myself and the people who called me back in September. We've had the benefit of 3 months, 3 more months. So I want to see how your opinions have evolved. How did the lockdown and COVID impact people who work in the informal sector? You heard a fashion designer, you heard a keke marwa rider, you heard a laundryman. I love that the people who listen to Nigeria Info, who listen to Hardfacts, are from very, very diverse backgrounds, right? I mean, it's from one of you people that I brought in an expert who works at the ports, who works with scanning machines. One of you was a security consultant. I've gotten lawyers from my listeners. I've gotten political analysts from my listeners. So it's always very satisfying how diverse the pool is, the pool of listeners are, and it's also great if you're looking to advertise, because now you know that you're advertising to different kinds of people in Nigeria. You're advertising to the very, very high class, high business people. You're also advertising to the upper middle class people. You're also advertising to the lower income earners. You're also advertising to the informal sector. It's amazing, really. But yes, back to the conversation that we're having. What impact 3 months later did the lockdown and COVID-19 have on the informal sector? Artisans, transport workers, traders. From what I've seen, some informal sector jobs actually did better. So, for instance, dispatch riders did much better during the lockdown, right? But you had others that were hit hard. So which ones do you think did better under the lockdown? Which ones do you think did worse under the lockdown? And since we are in a second wave, and we may, I'm not saying we will or we may see some new restrictions or lockdown even. What do you think government should do differently? What do you think they should do differently so that the informal sector is better protected? Mohammed is in Igondo. Hello, Mohammed. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good evening. How are you today, ma?
Good. Good evening. Welcome. Go ahead.
All right. I just joining the program. Actually, I don't really know what is being discussed. Maybe I have to keep listening. I will call back. I just want to try the line to see if it will come true.
Okay, Mohammed, thank you for calling. Nata, if you're going to screen a call, perhaps ask the person who is calling you, what do you want to tell Sandra about? What do you want to talk to Sandra about, right? So when they call, you say, I want to talk about perhaps NERC, perhaps electricity rates, perhaps COVID impact on the informal sector. That's why you're there. You're there to help guide people. Huh? Thank you, Nata. You do awesome. Yay. All right. Let's see who else is calling. 0700-993-993. You can also share your thoughts with us via WhatsApp. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. Which informal sector do you think did better under the lockdown, and which ones did worse? And yes, you can still talk about the electricity tariff. I told you that NERC announced an increase in your bill. Well, for some of you, if you're having 12 hours on average power supply, you're probably paying new tariffs. 3 months later, how is that working out? Are you paying higher tariffs in your area? How much power do you get per day on average? Charles wants to talk about the impact of COVID-19 on his own business. Hello, Charles. Welcome.
Good evening, Sandra.
Thanks for calling us.
Okay. Yes. COVID-19 impacted my business because I run a business and an event center.
Okay.
For the period, that these events couldn't hold.
Yes.
And so you had to pay salaries. So that was a tough one. I went to my landlord and I asked him that, look, give me 1 year moratorium. He said, where is that done?
Yeah.
So, but my rent expired in May. So I'm just going to pay the rent this week. He didn't give me any moratorium. That was fun. Then on NEPA, on power, I have been running that event center now for about 8 years without power. When we got there, they told us there was a debt on the property for 90-something thousand. We ended up paying 111,000, and we told them to disconnect us.
Okay.
When we told them to disconnect us, they kept bringing the bills. So by the time we went and saw that I paid money and they were still bringing bills and we didn't have power, we told them to disconnect us. So for the past 8 years, we have been running on generator.
My God.
And that is a huge cost on the business. When we tried to reconnect, we went back to them. They told us that that was NEPA, that this is now Ikeja Electric. That we still have to pay 78,000 naira.
For what? When you've not used power. For what? So, I hope you said no.
We have not paid. Since February, we've been trying to get prepaid meter. We have applied. We have registered online. We have called them again and again. Nothing is happening. So I just felt I should let the world know about this incident.
All right. Well, Charles, thank you so much for calling us and letting us know about this. It's quite the thing. Joseph is on the line. He wants to talk about the increase in electricity tariffs. But Joseph, we have to take a break. I'm sorry. But do call us after the break and let's have that conversation. We're going to talk about the Edo elections next. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Yeah. It's time to listen to Hardfacts with Sandra. It's a silly Hardfacts with Sandra. It's a silly on Nigeria Info. 99.3 FM. Monday to Friday at 3 p.m. Hardfacts with Sandra. It's a silly.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
September's biggest story was probably the gubernatorial election in Edo State, and on Hard Facts, we gave you in-depth coverage. We reached out to the parties in Edo State and we brought you their assessments of their chances and the issues at stake in that particular election. If you missed that interview, you can listen to it on our podcast, Hard Facts with Sandra Ezekwesili, but you can listen to some highlights right now. Here's our big hard fact for today. The Edo State gubernatorial election will hold on Saturday, 19th September. That's my birthday, by the way. And I think we also need a second big hard fact, which I've mentioned before. The PDP's candidate, Governor Godwin Obaseki, and the APC candidate, Osagie Ezeyamu, also faced each other 4 years ago, but with each one representing the other party. So basically, the two frontrunners switched parties. Now, this is one of the big issues we're going to discuss today as well. But we're going to go beyond that, right? We'll go beyond party politics. And by the end of this hour, Lagos will have a better idea of what issues Edo voters are talking about and what promises they are extracting from the men who want to govern them. All right, so let me come back to you, Solomon. What do you think about the timing of this MEES program under the National Directorate for Employment? What do you think about the timing?
I do not see timing of any program for empowerment as wrong. Whether you call it political or you call it apolitical, provided young persons or those targeted persons benefit from the program. It really does not matter the timing, whether it's done on the 25th of December and it's convenient for people to attend, or it's done on a different day. To me, it's really not an issue. Okay. What's important is that is the program sincere? Is the program empowering people? Are people benefiting from the program? Is the core dividend of democracy delivered to the people? Those are the issues.
Those are the issues. Now, I noticed that one of the people listed in the ad as a host is Professor Idia Izeyamu, the wife of the APC candidate. She's also been campaigning for her husband. Does this raise the specter of conflict of interest on the part of the federal government, since, of course, the president and his minister, Festus Keyamo, are both members of the same party as Izeyamu? Mr. Diogbe.
Quickly, that Professor Idia Izeyamu is listed. It's not our doing. Of course, sometimes, by coincidence, you could be a host in a program. So I do not see that, like I mentioned earlier, if the program is targeted at a particular set of persons, because for every program, whether of government or private individual, whether I call it private organizations or government organization, or the focus in that or does it mean well? I just use the rotary forward test. I mean, does it capture everybody? You understand that it's targeted. So if it is, if it's in the best interest of everyone, I do not really see either Izeyamu's participation as a problem, because in the first instance, the program is targeted to develop Edo people. So whether if it was a Betsy Obaseki, or of course today you could before now you could hear an Obaseki laying claims to projects as executed by either NDDC, C4, or federal government. For instance, the modular refinery issue. So, but because it's happening in his government, it doesn't really matter that Idia Izeyamu is the one that has been captured as a focal point person. Are the people following Idia Izeyamu not Edo people? These are the issues.
Can I ask you a follow-up question, and then I'll go over to Osei to find out what he thinks about what you're saying. Can somebody be, because you said that it's not Professor Idia's doing, can somebody be a host of a program without consent? Also, if the federal government listed Professor Izeyamu as a host without her consent, have they not raised the specter of conflict of interest?
Quickly, I'll say this. You have said it. I do not know, but whatever way it is, hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so whatever way it is, You have said Festus Keyamo is APC. You have said the federal government is APC, and the Sage Zayamu's wife.
I haven't said it. It is what it is, isn't it?
No. You mentioned that, so I'm picking it from there.
Okay. No,
Yeah,
but what I mentioned is a statement of fact. Yes.
Yeah. Whether a statement of fact or a statement of force, that Iveyamu's wife, Professor Idia Iveyamu, was captured as part of those to facilitate. It shows that she's on ground. It shows that she has a coverage of the people. Because in the first instance, she's a head caregiver. Okay. She's a doctor. So I'm sure for the federal government to capture her as one of those. For instance, would it have been the wife of the governor of Delta State that have been asked to come and do that? I'll give you an instance. Okay. When they were doing traders' money, would they have given the traders money to the governor of Delta State to do in Edo State? No, of course not. You understand? So for government to plan programs, whatever program that governments plan, they have a targeted audience, they have a mode of communication, and they have persons that they intend to reach out. So I do not see that as a problem. But if you said that Professor Idia Iveyamu was using it solely to benefit the APC persons, which of course you have not said, then you could have issues, and you were raising issues about that. We could have that as a discourse, but that's not what you are discussing. Your only issue here is that Professor Idia Iveyamu is part of those. Question here is, are the programs designed for Edo people not being captured in the program? If that is yes, then what is the issue?
Okay. Osaneni, what say you?
Well, I've calmed down, and I think I've calmed down because of for want of a better word, the inability of my co-speaker to defend the indefensible. The trader money program was stated as being voter inducement by international election observers. It's not OSED. I said it's not the PDP. They said the way the trader money program was rolled out in 2019 and before some out of cycle elections, it induced voters. That's what that program did. So it wasn't about empowering people. It wasn't about lifting out of poverty. It was rolled out for one specific aim, to get you to vote in a certain way when elections come by in a week's time or in a month's time. And the trader money program was even a bit more subtle than this, because they wouldn't come one day to an election. They would be 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before, when the carnival would roll into the state, and the vice president, a man I admire highly, would lead the carnival in. And it's the one thing I hold against him, the way the trader money program was used. And then to see them even double down and worsen it and put partisan actors. Professor Iveyamu campaigns, she goes around and campaigns for her husband. And then she's the one disbursing funds 48 hours before her husband's election. And she's not a state actor. And my friend, my brother, is saying that he sees no issues. I would have been annoyed if the argument coming from the other side was a bit more considered. As it isn't, there really isn't any annoyance for me to waste. I won't waste my anger. I hope we can move beyond this nonsense, because it's nonsense. It's despicable nonsense. And maybe have a conversation about the debate that happened on Saturday. Maybe have a conversation about what the candidates hope to achieve. Again, I'm saying we're existing in a bubble where we're surrounded by actors who are acting with impunity, who have no regard for Edo State people, for democracy, or for the ballot, for the sanctity of the ballot. But we can just have an academic conversation, and hopefully, at the end of this conversation, listeners should be able to decide, where truth lies, whether it lies on the side of the PDP in this conversation or it lies on the other side.
A visibly angry Oseaneni there. He was one of the guests. The other guest was Solomon Idiogbe. They both represented the different political parties who went head to head in that election. You're listening to Hard Facts on 99.3 Nigeria Info. If you want to listen to the full interview, it's available on our podcast, Hard Facts with Sandra Ezekwesili. Let me remind you or tell you for the first time that the next 7 minutes, of this show is brought to you courtesy Golden Penny Semovita. I've been telling you for the past few days that Golden Penny Semovita has been crowned the King of Swallow. And at his coronation, you had Queen Egusi there, you had Queen Eforiro there, you had Queen Edikaikong there, Queen Afang was also there, Queen Obono was there, Queen Miyakuka was also there, and you had other chiefs and other dignitaries who were present. So there was Chief Roundabout, there was Chief Brokoto, there was Chief Shaki, and a host of other dignitaries. And they decided that for the next 12 days, they're going to celebrate the coronation of Semovita, Golden Penny's Semovita, as the King of Swallow by giving you gift items. We have had so far 6 winners who have gone away with 5,000 naira shopping vouchers, recharge cards, and I'd like you to be the next winner. Now, you can win bigger items if you take part in the social media King of Swallow challenge. If you want to participate in that particular challenge, you have to take a picture of your local cultural soup alongside Golden Penny Semovita. Then post the picture on social media with a caption about the cultural importance of that meal. Then tag Golden Penny Semovita social media handles. They are the same on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at GP Semovita. At GP Semovita. Don't forget to use their hashtag King of Swallow Challenge when posting your entries. They're going to pick 10 lucky winners from their social media pages, and they're going to reward you with amazing kitchen appliances like juicers and blenders. If you want to join, make sure you use the hashtag King of Swallow Challenge. But for those of you who want to win airtime and shopping vouchers, I have another simple question for you today. I'm going to ask you that question after we listen to our sponsor. Don't go away.
See how much it now looks better. Golden pennies and Movita. New look, the same great taste. Golden pennies and Movita. Because it's easy to swallow and not too heavy. The same great taste, easy to make. Golden pennies and Movita. See how much it now looks better. Golden pennies and Movita. Natural. So full, pennies and Movita. See now the brand new look, Mama says Movita. See now the same great day, see now the golden penny, see now the golden penny.
Bringing you the next 5 minutes of the show, Golden Penny Semovita. If you'd like to win a 5,000 naira shopping voucher or recharge cards, courtesy Golden Penny Semovita, please answer this question on our social media pages. Make sure you use the hashtag King of Swallow. Use the hashtag King of Swallow, then tag Nigeria Info FM and tag GP Semovita. The former Golden Penny Semovita pack was yellow. What is the color of the new pack? The former Golden Penny Semovita pack was yellow. What is the color of the new pack? Answer that question correctly and be our lucky winner today. I'm going to pick 3 winners. One of them from Facebook, one from Twitter, one from WhatsApp. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. Twitter is at Nigeria Info FM. Facebook is Nigeria Info 99.3. But yes, back to September 2020. I played you that interview between Ose Aneni and Solomon Idiogbe and myself. And that story was just one of the stories. You heard them talking about a particular federal program to distribute money on the eve of the election, right? Well, that election was one controversy after another. And that was one of the very last controversies, the allegation that the APC was using that federal program to distribute patronage on the eve of the polls. If you don't remember that program, well, let me remind you.
I mentioned trader money because the criticisms are similar. The gubernatorial elections in Edo are on Saturday, my birthday, by the way. And now, MEES is coming a few days before. So basically, the critics are saying that the timing makes it look like vote buying. And this was the same criticism they leveled against trader money during the 2019 campaign. Remember, Vice President Osinbajo went to many states, including Lagos, and he was supervising the sharing of trader money during the campaign season. The critics are also pointing out that the wife of the APC Guber candidate is one of the hosts. Professor Idia Izeyamo. Not only is she the wife of Osage Izeyamo, she's been campaigning actively on his behalf. And now she's listed as the host for this exercise, where the federal government will be distributing loans.
September 2020, like I said, it packed a lot of punch. Some of you said it was unacceptable when we brought that story to you back in September. Some of you said, oh, it's perfectly fine because after all, the program was going on in other states before the Edo leg. Other people said even if the program was ongoing, government should have understood the optics would be bad and delayed the Edo leg to avoid any appearance of trying to influence the polls, especially by using the wife of one of the candidates as a host. At the end of the day, though, Governor Obasaki, the incumbent governor, won re-election, and he won on the PDP platform, returning Edo State House to the umbrella for the first time since 2008. So quite the iconic elections. I'll bring you another message from our sponsors, and then I'll take your calls as we wrap up today's show.
See how much it now looks better. Golden pennies and moving new look, the same great taste. Golden pennies and moving because easy to swallow and not too heavy. The same great taste, easy to make. Golden pennies and moving. See how much it now looks better. Golden pennies and moving. Natural. So food, pennies and Movita. See now the brand new look, Mama says Movita. See now the same great day, see now the golden penny, see now the golden penny.
The U.S. government says it has banned a list of Nigerians from getting visa because they allegedly helped rig elections in Bayelsa and Kogi.
I brought you that story in September 2020 as well. That was some drama and tension before the election. The election day was relatively peaceful. I'm talking about the Edo election now. There were not a lot of allegations or reports of malpractice, and definitely not as many as in other elections, right? And Nigerians were asking, Omo, how come? And other Nigerians were saying, did it have anything to do with the U.S. visa ban? So a lot of speculation over whether the U.S. visa ban policy is discouraging people from rigging elections, because the ban applies to politicians, to INEC officials, to security agency personnel, and to others who have election roles, right? Now, we've had 2 guber elections since that ban was announced, Edo and Ondo. And if you compare them to the previous 2 elections, Bayelsa and Kogi, then the difference is clear. There were far fewer reports of irregularities. And last month, we also had the by-elections in different states, including Lagos, to fill empty seats at different levels. And again, the incident reports had very few cases. You know, there were fewer reports of incidents all over the country. So I'm wondering if we finally gotten elections right. I'm wondering if America's visa ban policy had a positive effect on Nigeria's elections. Or do you think it's the recent improvement? It's just a coincidence that things improved recently. What do you think about the policy itself? Do you agree with those who say it's an insult to Nigeria's national sovereignty? Or do you agree with those who say Nigeria is bigger than government officials and politicians, and if they are rigging elections to cheat Nigerians, it's fine for them to get banned from the countries that they like to visit? Let's see if we can take just one final call, and then we're going to wrap the show. The number to call is 0700-993-993-993. So we've covered how many stories today? The NERC increase in tariff. We covered the Edo election. We covered COVID's impact on small businesses. And now I just brought you U.S. visa bans. Ezedum in Surulere, good to have you on the show.
Sandra, I am Ezedum from Surulere.
Welcome. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I want to use this opportunity once again to salute President Buhari for maintaining democratic qualities in Edo State. Sandra, I was very, very happy. You see, President Buhari entrusted our southern leaders with the economy in the person of Osinbajo. Osinbajo misappropriated traders' money. He claimed that traders' money are meant to cushion the effect of to help the traders and support the economy. But after barely 4 months after the program, we are in recession. That is why I am not blaming the stance of the presidency, the stance of the president by creating additional 3 ministries to take care of the disbursement. You see, corruption that is associated with the trader money under Vice President Osinbajo.
Ezedum? Are you there? Oh no, I'm so sorry. But that's my cue to leave the studio. Yvonne is already here to bring you the news at 6. But I'll be back tomorrow at 3. Glass Ceiling will also come back at 4. I'll have Chief Andy Oboforibo on the show with me, reviewing the biggest conversations we had on the glass ceiling. And then at 5 o'clock, we'll bring you the month of October. I'm dreading taking a look back at October, but we have to do it, don't we? I'm SS Zakwasili on social media, Lagos. Let's talk there. Let's continue the conversation there. Those were your hard facts. Good night.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel.